Good morning and welcome to Today in LA. My name's Mike Amos. Hope you're doing well this morning. And it's not a very good day if you're a Crimson Tide fan as Alabama goes to California and loses big to Clemson in a game that was pretty much dominated by the Clemson Tigers. Everybody says you got to be more physical than Alabama to beat them. Well, that's exactly what happened last night. Clemson was more physical than Alabama, both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball, and they win the game going away. It was not even close after the first half. They've got a young quarterback that's going to be maybe a Heisman Trophy winner one day. Will probably be one of the great pro quarterbacks one day. This guy is the real deal, Holyfield, if you want to call it that way. He is outstanding, and of course last night Clemson's tough defense stopped Alabama 5 times in the red zone. That means inside the 20-yard line, Alabama was turned away by the Clemson Tigers. And of course, sad day if you're an Alabama fan, but big day if you're a Clemson Tiger fan. I know I've got a brother that lives in Charleston, and he just keeps telling me all the time Clemson's going to wear Alabama out. I said, well, let me tell you, Clemson played everybody, but they hadn't played Alabama. Well, now they played Alabama, and they have proven to be a wonderful football team. And, of course, I was with a group of Alabama people last night, hoopla and looking good and feeling good about everything. And when the game starts, our quarterback at Alabama throws the ball right in the Clemson guy's hands, and they were off to the races after that. He goes about 70 yards for a touchdown, and it was downhill for Alabama after that. They led at one time 16-14, but Clemson quickly moved the ball down the field. Alabama's defense was inept. They could not tackle. That was a terrible tackling team. You know, they looked pretty up front, but they did not tackle well. Clemson ran the ball, and they threw the ball pretty much at will against Alabama. And then, of course, couldn't happen to a better guy in Jabbo Sweeney. And, of course, the guru, Saban, loses out on his 7th national championship. So, but you got to hand it to him. He's done a pretty good job over the years. But Jabbo Sweeney is the man now, ladies and gentlemen. Don't be telling me anything about Saban. Tell me about Jabbo Sweeney. What do you think?
Hi, morning.
Hey, Jabbo Sweeney's liable to win 4 or 5 national championships. What do you think?
Well, you got to think he's got to probably win at least one more because Lawrence is a pure freshman, and they play in a conference that I think is pretty weak. With Florida State being down and Louisville being down. Of course, NC State, I guess, is so-so. And then you got Syracuse coming. They're starting to play a little bit better. But I tell you what, man, I've seen Alabama do that to many a team last night, but never really seen it done to Alabama since Saban had been there.
The thing I was really disappointed with.
That's the worst loss in Alabama history since Saban's been the coach. I think the worst Alabama had ever been beat is by Stephen Garcia.
I'm going to tell you something right now.
Beat them by 14. So
I'm going to tell you something right now that Alabama, and this is a Saban coached Alabama secondary. Alabama's secondary was terrible. They couldn't tackle. They were looking around. I mean, they could not tackle. I mean, I've seen high school teams tackle better than that.
Yeah, I was telling people against Oklahoma. I don't think people realize how close this almost happened against Oklahoma. Oklahoma was just scoring absolutely at will at the end of that game, and basically you just saw it throughout the whole game.
But didn't you think it was the secondary at Alabama that was really so inept?
Well, it was the third down defense. How many times did Clemson, convert on 3rd and 10, 3rd and 13, 3rd and 14? It was just, poor tackling. It was poor positioning on Alabama.
Another thing, we didn't block anybody.
Alabama's defense, at least get pass interference. Don't let the guys just be wide open.
Well, I will say this.
Phoenix City played phenomenal. Justin Ross.
Oh, yeah.
Jamie
Oh yeah, he's a great player and made great play. I'll tell you this right now, and this is a easy way out to say, but that was some of the worst officiating as far as pass interference plays. I mean, Alabama had 3 or 4 of those called against them, or didn't get the call.
But it was almost like Saban really showed he was an old man last night. He showed he's almost about 68 years old. He had no life.
Yeah.
He didn't argue with the officials.
He sure didn't, did he?
Ballistic on any calls. He didn't go ballistic on any players. I mean, I wanted him to grab that kicker's face mask.
Yeah.
When he missed that extra point.
I know it.
A high school kid can make an extra point.
But the worst call of the ball game had to be the fake field goal. That was the worst call of the ball game.
The field goal was atrocious, but in that situation, you leave your offense on the field. I mean, Saban pretty much gave up on his defense early in that game. I don't know if you remember. He went from his own 35-yard line early in that game.
That's right.
On 4th and 1. And my biggest problem is my buddies and I are texting back and forth through the game, and we do it through a lot of big Alabama games. If he doesn't realize, and everybody in the country doesn't realize, that Josh Jacobs has beaten out Damian Harris on the goal line for short yardage runs. I mean, Damian Harris has just lost a step. He just can't break tackles. Josh Jacobs breaks tackles.
Yeah, that's who you run. That's who you got to run on the goal line is Harris.
And then Najee Harris.
Jacobs. Yeah.
Out of the Wildcat, they couldn't stop it the whole game.
That's right.
But then Najee Harris, I mean, he's got fresh legs. He rushes for like 59 yards on 7 carries, and they didn't get him the ball enough. So I mean, I'm surprised that he didn't.
Well, you know what? I tell you what.
The game and stay in California.
Yeah. Let me just say something that they did against Oklahoma and didn't do against Clemson. They didn't stay with the run. Against Oklahoma, they ate up a lot of clock. Well, let me just say this: it was pretty evident right off the bat that Clemson was going to score pretty much every time they got the football. Well, this should have been the game where you want to eat up the clock right here.
Yeah, I mean, Alabama, I was shocked how easily they were able to run the ball. And, of course, time possession, they dominated in the first half. But I will say that was Loxley's worst game. I mean, I know he's got a lot on his mind, coaching in Maryland, and becoming a head coach there and then trying to, get ready for an Alabama national championship game. But I think you saw the shuffling of coaches for the first time really affect Alabama last night because that game plan was not good. Ruggs, he was one of the best players.
Yeah, he didn't even play. Did he even play?
Yeah, he played, but Waddle, I think he had 1 catch, and then Waddle, who's the guy that can take it to the house at any minute, I think he had 2 catches. So, I mean, they were there's no way you can tell me that Clemson could cover those 2 guys all night.
Well, I tell you what, that linebacker from Clemson, number 43, or what was the linebacker? They had 2 of them that were really good.
34 was really good. But, Kevin Turner's son, who was a walk-on from West
Did he play much?
He's playing a lot at safety, number 24. And, I mean, it's just amazing.
Number 19 was really good. That safety. Now, a big play in that game. A big play in that game. A big play in that game.
On him the whole game if they wanted to.
Who?
I mean, he's the one that Judy called the bomb on early in the game. I mean, that was one of the worst covers you'll ever see. I mean, sometimes they could have thrown it well, but it came down at the very end of the game. Well, not the very end of the game, but in the second half, that Alabama just couldn't score in the red zone. How many times they had the ball inside the
I'll tell you a big play. You remember when Tua broke out of the pocket and had to make a big first down late, and that safety came up and just drilled him. Any other guy would have probably given up the first down, but that guy really made a huge stop on that play.
But Tua was trying to get 10 yards there. That was just too much. I mean, you got to try to throw the ball there. I mean, there's countless plays, but when it comes down to it, and Clemson just whipped Alabama up and down the field.
They did. They were more physical.
I mean, Dabo Swinney, I mean, he's probably laughing this morning when he woke up about how easy that was.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I mean, because when it's all said and done, everybody's like, oh, Quentin Williams this, Quentin Williams that. Quentin Williams, he could help stop the run.
They double-teamed Quentin Williams.
And he could put a little pressure on the quarterback, but that guy, I don't know how many times he got hit right in the head and never even went down. He's like, what that guy reminds me of is like Ivan Drago, that boxer.
All right, let's be honest. This is saying a lot here when I say this. Who would you rather have, Tua or their quarterback?
I tell you what, man. After watching last night, I mean, I'll go with Lawrence. I mean, I think
boy, he is something. He is
polished and
he is a freshman phenom right there. I'm telling you.
They already said if he came out, I mean,
if he came out right now, would he be the first quarterback pick?
Top choice. That's what they said.
What?
As a freshman, they already said if he came out right now, he'd be the top quarterback right now.
Isn't that amazing? Well, he's a great player.
Good dude, potential overall.
Mike, where did he come from?
I'll say this though. I mean, you got to give Dabo Swinney and his staff so much credit though to make that move early in the season because I mean, Kelly Bryant had taken them to the playoffs.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, after 4 games, you know, they pretty much said this guy's going to be your starter, and I mean, that guy right there showed more poise for a freshman quarterback, pure freshman.
He really did.
In a championship game. Now I'll say early, Alabama, you know, was awful and didn't blitz. And, you know, I thought that was really stupid. But, I mean, at the end of the day, they should have blitzed on every play how bad that secondary was.
Yeah, that's right. They needed more pressure, no question about it.
Alabama, of course, had the #1 recruiting class. And, you know, I think they got at least 5 guys, you know, coming in and playing secondary. And a lot of those guys will start immediately.
Well, their secondary, let me just say it one time again, Alabama's secondary was terrible as far as tackling. Oh, they were terrible tackling all over the field. Alabama might have been good up front, you know, with the top 3, but other than that, I wasn't very impressed with them defensively.
Well, you know, I mean, they also lost their defensive end. You know, Christian Miller, you know, from his hamstring against Oklahoma, didn't play at all.
So that hurt them.
That hurt a big factor. I don't know what happened to their backup defensive ends, but you know, they moved their best player on defense. I mean, Matt Wilson was atrocious at linebacker too.
He didn't tackle well.
I mean, I don't know how many times he could have stopped, you know, plays for loss.
Every time they got it, they moved forward. We very rarely ever knocked them back. But
I'll say this: when you got Dylan Moses playing defensive end in place of Christian Miller, when he should be playing a linebacker, I mean, obviously they don't have confidence in their depth on defense at defensive end. So, you know, losing Terrell Lewis at the start of the season was huge. I mean, he was a preseason All-American, first-round pick. You know, he would have helped them out a lot. I mean, when it's all said and done, I mean, Alabama scored 16 points in the first quarter.
Yeah,
or maybe kicked a field goal.
Was that the longest first quarter you've ever seen? Was that unbelievable?
I really thought that game. I mean, I picked the score Alabama 42-40, so I thought that it was going to be a shootout. But I really thought at one time it was going to be like in the high 50s.
Did that game go over or under?
It went over.
Just barely though, didn't it?
It went over just barely. Yeah, the over/under was 57.5, and Clemson scored 44, and Alabama scored 16. How many people you think in the country would have said that Alabama would have scored 16 points? Absolutely nobody.
Yeah, I know it.
I mean, you're talking about a team that had rolled up 40 points, averaged 40 points a game.
Yeah. Well, what they did, they got beaten.
And the sad thing is, Clemson's defense, I didn't really think was that great.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you how great it was.
They got pressured late, but you know, I mean,
Tua had almost 200 yards in the first quarter, Mike.
The play calling in the red zone though was atrocious for Alabama last night. They couldn't figure out if they wanted to run. They couldn't figure out if they wanted to throw.
Well, the front got whipped. That's what happened. The front offensively got whipped, and including.
I mean, you know, one time, you know, Will's the same guy against Oklahoma. Alabama's got the ball at the half-yard line.
Yeah, that's right.
He moves again and gets a penalty. And then now down there at the end of the game,
they got to fire. They got to fire that guy. You're right.
I turned the national championship game off with 12 minutes left when Alabama had the ball at the 1-yard line. I think they're already down 21 or maybe even 28. And Damian Harris, they get the ball to 2 straight times. He gets stuffed from the 1.
Yeah.
And then they call a ridiculous play where they rolled Tua out.
Yeah, through that Selma pass.
No, they didn't throw that shuttle. This was a different time. This is late in the game. They rolled Tua out and expect Tua to.
Oh boy, he didn't have a chance. What were they doing?
Yeah, on 4th down. I mean, I didn't understand why they didn't try to get him out, scramble, let him throw on the run. But I told my wife, which I never thought I'd say, I thought Jalen Hurts should have got in early in that game.
You know, I pretty much turned the thing off. Did Hurt ever move the ball at the end at all? Or
no. That first interception, though, I think was a telltale sign of how that game was going to go, because I've watched Tua all year, and I've seen him live. I've seen him in person. He never makes mistakes like that, but that was one of the worst.
Well, you know what? He looked at the guy the whole time.
Touchdown.
He looked at that receiver the whole time. That was a lock. I mean, and
then the other interception was just like a glorified punt almost. I mean, he just threw it up in the air and was just hoping that his receiver was going to be there. And then Clemson's defensive backs are so skilled, each return was almost 50 yards.
And do you know that Clemson defensive secondary was supposed to be their weak link? Well, they looked pretty good to me, didn't you?
Well, I mean, you got to say those were two awful throws by Tua, though. I mean, when have you seen Tua make throws that horrible?
That's right.
I mean, it made me think like that Tua thought that they could just throw at will the whole game, and that that's how just like you said that the secondary play was that bad. But you got to think before you throw. And I mean, it's a harsh lesson for Tua to learn in that game. I mean, and it's a horrible loss for Alabama fans. I mean, now Alabama's been 15-0 two different times. Considered maybe one of the greatest teams of all time, and they've lost to Clemson both times.
Yeah.
I want to say, if you're a Clemson fan today, you would take that blowout loss last year when they got beat 24-6, and gladly take two national championships with Alabama only winning one against you. I think that's a pretty good split that Dabo Swinney's got now with Saban. They're 2-2, but Dabo won two national championships. Saban, of course, won two.
Have you ever wondered how good they would have been if their superstar defensive lineman would have played? How bad would it have been?
Oh, Lawrence. I don't know. It would have been awful.
See, and he's considered a top front runner to be probably top 5 pick, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, Dexter Lawrence. Yeah, but I mean, I was definitely concerned though that with Saban just being so lifeless on the sidelines. Usually he's screaming and hollering and getting into the game, getting into the officials. A lot of those pass interference calls were on the Alabama sideline, and they wouldn't get calls. I mean, those referees, they act like they. I mean, not like Clemson wasn't going to win the game anyway, but Alabama got no calls the whole game.
They really didn't, as far as especially the past.
But I tell you what, I watched the pregame coverage, and everybody liked Alabama. Of course, Corso picked Clemson, but you had Malzahn on every single different news. I mean, he was on Game Day. He was on SC Network. I mean, that's great exposure for Malzahn.
I thought Malzahn handled himself real well. I thought he handled himself very well analyzing that game. I really did.
It's interesting. A lot of people were asking the other day. I was watching, the ESPN network and SEC network, and they were like saying, how many national championships do you think Saban ends up with? And they were saying, we think he's going to have at least 10. And then they asked Gene Chizik how many he thought Dabo would have. And Gene Chizik said he thought Dabo would have 5 national championships.
I wouldn't doubt it.
So this walk-on from Pelham, Alabama, who Gene Stallings convinced that he needed to get into coaching and be an assistant coach. I mean, of course, Dabo's the Stallings disciple and loves Stallings.
And on the radio network, Stallings did some commentary, and he sounded very healthy. I was worried about his health, but I believe he's got a good turnaround right now.
But I mean, you got to say right now, Clemson's dead even with Alabama as far as the best teams in college football after last night.
Well, let me just say this: they're the best team. Let me tell you something. They'd beat Alabama if they played them tomorrow, I believe. I don't.
No, there's no doubt. But I'm just saying, as far as their programs in general, as far as national championships now.
Oh yeah, no question.
Over the last 5 years, I mean, I think Dabo, they said the other day, which is crazy. I think in the last 9 years, he's won double digits.
Yeah.
Over 10 wins every year. Of course.
I'll tell you a big thing that happened. Everybody was thinking Tua was considered a world beater, but no question, I'd take the Clemson quarterback any day right now over him. In fact, I can see a light at the end of the tunnel for some of these quarterbacks that are coming in, Mike. Tua might not be as good as we think he is.
No, I mean, Tua's a great player and put up huge numbers, but, he, for some reason, I think he had thrown 3 interceptions all year, 4 interceptions all year. He threw 2 of the worst passes he's thrown all year. And
well, I know he.
I don't know if it's the pressure that he had 400 family members there that were watching him, and maybe nerves got to him.
He did have a lot
I thought nerves got to him against Georgia and against Clemson. I didn't think he showed any nerves against Oklahoma.
Yeah. Well, again, he's a great kid and all that. I'm not taking any of that away from him.
He's just a sophomore too.
Yeah, but I reckon it goes back to can Alabama protect for him? Last night, he was having to run around quite a bit.
The ball. I mean, the guy threw for 295 yards and 2 touchdowns. It wasn't like he didn't have time.
Yeah. Let me put you on hold. I'll be right back with you. Good morning, today in L.A. How you doing?
Hey, Mike, it's Will Matthews.
Will Matthews. Well, Will, I didn't know you'd have the courage to call in this morning.
Well, the sun came up this morning.
Sure did. It sure did. No question about it. That's the best thing that's been said today. But the sun didn't come up yet, at least it hadn't in Troy.
And I'm going to tell you something. I predicted a Clemson victory last night.
You did? To who?
I predicted, believe me, I predicted Clemson would win.
Well, not only did they win, and they gave you 6 points, didn't they? Finally, didn't it come down to 6 points?
6 points.
I'm going to put you on hold and bring Mike Amos in here. I'm going to put you on hold. Be right back. All right, I got you, Donna.
I'm on.
All right, we're going to have all this fun stuff going on here. There we go. All right, we got both of you. Is that right?
I'm here.
Mike? Let me get him now. I lost him. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the fun game we play every day, isn't it?
You need to get...
Why now? We're back with Will Matthews.
You got me.
Hey, all right, I got you too, Donna, Will.
Yeah.
All right, good. We got the three-way going. Will Matthews calling from Dothan this morning on his way to Ozark. Will, give us your analysis of the game.
Actually, I'm just now leaving Gulfport, Mississippi. I was at my wife's game with my daughter last night.
Uh-oh. So you made a last-minute bet, didn't you?
He made a legalized bet.
Did you make a last-minute bet on Clemson?
I made 2 bets.
Everybody took Clemson. Hey, you'll find out everybody took Clemson. Oh, I told you so. All that. Is that right?
I took Clemson and I took the over.
Well, you barely got the over, didn't you?
Oh, the over was done at halftime, just about it.
Yeah, I know it. But finally the over was 70. Is that right?
Yeah, it went down. I tell you what, Dad and I've been talking. Well, I mean, Alabama's defense. I mean, they started showing it against Oklahoma in the second half, and I think Clemson could have easily have scored 60 points if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Well, Alabama's secondary was not good. Don't you agree?
Well, it's like this, Mike. We've been used to having defensive backs that can cover a receiver one-on-one.
That's
and
right.
And left, the linemen and the linebackers could blitz. Well, last night we never came close to getting that quarterback. One time I think we hit him, but we never sacked him.
And that's what you needed to do to a young quarterback is to really rattle him. And I don't know if we ever rattle him now. I could tell some of his passes were off where he had to hurry. And when you made him have to hurry, it was just like sacking him, if you made him hurry.
Yeah.
I mean, it was all on third down, too. I mean, Alabama gave up more 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 10s, 3rd and 12s. Couldn't get off the field.
Yeah. I was looking at the paper this morning, and it says Alabama head coach Nick Saban walks off after losing to Clemson in the national championship. Let me tell you, instead of a highway patrolman, he looked like he had a couple of real guys with machine guns walking him off. And boy, this was a picture in the Montgomery Advertiser today. These were two bad-looking dudes that were walking him off, providing security.
I mean, Will, how shocked are you this one that Alabama scored 16 points? I'm just shocked beyond belief.
Well, they had it inside the 20 3 or 4 times and didn't score.
I
think they
the play call. I thought the play call. I know Loxley's going to Maryland, and he's got a lot on his play. But I thought the play call was the worst I'd ever seen last night because they didn't get the ball to Waddle, they didn't get the ball to Ruggs.
See, I didn't even think Ruggs even played. I never even heard his name.
If anybody doesn't think Josh Jacobs is the best running back on Alabama's teams, they're out of their mind. They don't give it to Jacobs on the goal line. I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
Well, see, Jacobs breaks tackles, what he does, I tell you.
Out of the Wildcat, he breaks tackles.
I would have had Jacobs both times when they got it to the one. I would have had him in there and just go ahead and punch it in.
Yeah, in the Wildcat. Just kept running him in the Wildcat. Is that right?
Damian Harris has lost the step this year. I mean, he's a good player, and a lot of people thought he might be a first-round pick, but he can't break the tackles that Jacobs can break.
All right. Jacobs runs hard. Do we get Jacobs back next year?
He's going to go pro.
Oh, boy. Well,
I think Jacobs is a junior, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's got 2 kids. He's going to go ahead and go pro.
Oh, is that right? Has 2 kids?
No question. He ought to.
Well, I tell you what, you got to give Clemson all the credit in the world.
How many national championships Dabo is winning going to win now?
Hey, something, Will, that was really good that I mentioned earlier, that on the radio, we heard from our
you heard Coach Stallings.
Coach Stallings, and he sounded really good. You know, I was worried about him a few months ago on his last leg, but he sounds like he's got a good turnaround. I'm happy to see it.
And he was probably pulling for Clemson last night.
He might have been, but because he and Dabo are real close. There's no question about it.
Very close.
Yeah. And, Clemson is the Auburn of the ACC. I mean, Clemson and Auburn, both those schools are so much alike, it's pitiful, isn't it?
Well, there's one difference.
The lake.
The lake.
Yeah, having a lake on campus, you mean that Clemson? Yeah. It's an impressive place, no question. But
there's no doubt that that Clemson's going to be preseason #1 next year, and these 2 teams will probably meet again in the playoffs next year. Of course, Alabama's got to find a way to get through Georgia. I mean, Georgia is losing tons of guys to the NFL early as well, and I know Texas A&M is going to be a lot better next year. But I mean, Alabama defensively, I mean, I don't know if Saban has got it in him for another 2 or 3 more years. I'm sure he wanted to break Bear Bryant's record last night, for 7 national championships. But defensively, Alabama is going to have to change a lot next year. And I know Terrell Lewis will be back at defensive end, and they've recruited #1 recruiting class. But, man, it's going to be hard to beat Clemson next year again.
Sure is. Well, what they do, they call it a California creaming. A California creaming, and that's what they said, and this was in the Montgomery Advertiser this morning, and a whole issue about the game and so forth, and well, if you look at it statistically, you say, well, it was an even ball game, but it wasn't, was it?
No, Alabama gave up too many big plays.
And, of course, again, Clemson was very strong on defense in the red zone, and that was the key right there. If Alabama scores in the red zone like they're supposed to, they win the ball game.
I'll tell you what, man.
Did you know that? Did you know? I'm going to repeat that. If Alabama scores like they normally do in the red zone, they win the game.
No, Clemson was better.
They were stopped 5 times in the red zone. That's 35 points, Mike.
I know, but Clemson was just better. Clemson, took the foot off the gas at the very end. I mean, they could have been in the 50s easily.
I will tell you this.
I mean, Dabo showed some mercy on Saban last night, which I thought I'd never say. But, I mean.
Well, what do you mean right there? The last he didn't try to score. You mean?
He didn't try to score the last.
Quit.
Yeah, I mean,
last quarter they put the brakes on the last quarter.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts came in, I thought, too late. I thought after those 2 horrible interceptions that maybe you put him on the sideline for one series and put Hurts in and just run the ball. and let him run the ball too. And, like I said, I thought Loxley had a poor game, but overall execution by the players was poor.
Who is he going to bring in to replace him on defense, on offense? I mean, who's going to be Alabama's new offensive coordinator?
Dan Enos, the quarterback coach, will be promoted to offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I thought the Wildcat formation was good with him, especially with Jacobs running the ball. I think they could have run that out of that Wildcat.
Hey, Will, didn't you think it was a bad sign and that Saban knew what kind of game it was going to be, that early on he went from his own 35-yard line on 4th and 1? When in the world have you ever seen Alabama do that? Yeah. That was like in the second quarter.
Well, I mean, he knew he had to do something different because he was getting it handed to him, and they got the first down, and then they go down there and turn it over. I mean,
just another horrible throw by Tua, though. I mean, he just threw a deep ball, almost like a glorified punt, and Clemson had 3 guys back there on duty.
Then, of course, Alabama had 3 or 4 big potential pass interference calls that were not called at all. They let them play, and that hurt Alabama.
Yeah.
Alabama normally would get those calls. Don't you agree?
Well, anybody should have got a few of those calls. I mean, it was just obvious pass interference.
I'll say.
At the end of the day, though, I mean, I don't think Clemson's great defense up front that they were bragging about was that great.
Coffee.
Because I think Alabama ran the ball at will on them pretty much the whole game.
Yeah.
And that's what I didn't think Alabama would be able to do against them. I thought Alabama would be forced.
Well, I'll tell you one thing about Justin Ross, the kid that made those fabulous catches and made the long run, and he's from Central High School of Phoenix City, right down the road from us. And but he won't be here but 1 more year, and he's gone. He'll play one more year, and he's gone.
He's a pure freshman. He's got 2 more years.
Well, you mean he can't leave after next year?
No, you got to wait till your junior year.
Okay, so they got him for 2 more years.
Or junior year in the classroom. You could be a redshirt sophomore, like Quentin Williams is a redshirt sophomore, but he can go.
2 of the best receivers in college and pro football played at Alabama, and y'all know who those 2 are. I don't think we have any of those guys. Maybe Judah, but I don't think so. We need the big 6'2", 215-pound receiver like this guy is, Ross. Our receivers are not near that big, are they?
I know, but Alabama's receivers were the best they've ever been.
I know it, but they're not big, fine, possession, strong type receivers, though, are they?
Well, they don't have Amari Cooper, and they don't have Julio Jones.
That's what I was saying. No Amari Cooper or Julio Jones. Alabama needs to go out and get them a couple of receivers like Ross is.
Alabama needs to go out and get about 100 defensive backs.
What do you think, Will?
Yeah, that's their weakness, and of course we've known that to be their weakness. But
44-16 was the final score. What now?
So that guy, we have not faced a passer like that guy is.
Oh, I know it. He's really good.
That guy never lost in high school and has never lost in college.
He's never lost a high school game or a college game in his life. Can you believe that? Well, I was going to tell you this. Alabama got 23 first downs. Clemson got 21. I was talking about the stats. How stats don't mean anything. Hey, he threw for 347 yards, the young freshman did. He was 20 out of 32 for 347. Tua was 22 out of 34 for 295. So,
and the biggest thing for Clemson is no turnovers.
Exactly. Alabama had over 450 yards in total offense. Clemson had.
Alabama had
500.
Alabama had 150 yards rushing early
in the first half.
In the third quarter. Alabama. Ran the ball. Threw the ball. It was just a red zone offense. They couldn't score.
Well, I'll tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, that'll make you feel better. They're supposed to be getting the best kicker in the world coming to Alabama next year. He's a kid out of Hoover, isn't it? Isn't that right?
Yeah, his name's Rakert or Riker.
The kid they had this year was terrible, Al. I'm telling you.
When he missed that extra point, and then even worse, he kicks it out of bounds. And gets the ball at 35.
Oh, yeah.
And then they get a pass interference penalty on the next play. Next thing you know, they got the ball at the 50-yard line, short field.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy. Like, I mean, I was telling my wife last night, I don't know how many times in high school I've seen a big offensive lineman that weighed 250 pounds make extra point after extra point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Well, that should be a no-brainer of extra point, no question. This kid, though, is not a good. What I'm saying, we need this kicker bad at Alabama. It'd make a lot of difference.
Well, I mean, look at the Clemson kicker last night. He kicked every single ball out of bounds, out of the end zone.
Yeah, every one
of
them.
Alabama guy got it. I mean, Clemson. That's another thing that was crazy. He was catching it every time at the 5 or 7 yard line.
That's right. It probably could have. They probably could have returned some of those kicks, probably. But
kickers are kickers. Look at Cody Parkey, the guy for the Bears the other day that kicked at Auburn. I mean, he lost the game kicking a 43-yard field goal.
Let me tell you something about
automatic in the pros.
Let me tell you, and I quoted Parkey. I told you the other day, if he was kicking against Alabama, I guarantee he'd make it every time because he was a great kicker at Auburn.
Hey, Michael.
But they say now it was a block punt. They say the guy got a hand on it.
They said he got a finger on it.
Yeah. Wasn't that, Will?
That's what I was going to tell Mike. They've considered it
a block kick now. Yeah.
Field goal miss. So
and I'm glad for Parkey. I'm glad for Parkey.
Well, I guarantee the Bears are going to release him anyway.
Yeah. Well, he missed 9 extra points this year, didn't he? Or something. It was phenomenal. It was really crazy. No question about it.
But Alabama next year,
Alabama's kicker missed 9 extra points, didn't he?
Him and the other guy did, yeah, the Temple.
Isn't that terrible?
Guy.
Yeah. Boy, I tell you what.
The country and missed extra points by about 5 or 6.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your perception of Saban after this game? I mean, nationally, I'm sure people still think he's the greatest coach of all time in football, but when you get beat like that, I mean, to his ego, I mean, and then you got Lawrence 2 more years at Clemson. I mean,
well, he just showed his can against Oklahoma. Jerking off his headband and looked. I
told Dad though,
looked like a guy that was insane. And then this ball game, he acted like he could care less.
Life. Yeah, it seemed like he had no life and just didn't even want to be there last night.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, let me just say this: the number 1 program in the country right now has got to be Clemson. Winning 2, they won 2 out of the last 3 national championships, haven't they?
They won 2 out of the last 4. Alabama's won 2 and Clemson's won 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Dabo is a premium individual. There's no question about it. And right now, if they ask him to come to Alabama, he'd probably say, "No, I want to stay at Clemson." What do you think?
He's not going to Alabama.
No, I don't think he is either.
I mean, all his family, he moved to Clemson. I mean, he could stay at Clemson for 30 more years, and they would never get rid of him after what he's done.
Yeah.
But I mean, look at this team. I mean, he loses all his great defensive players up front. Now, his defense will definitely take a hit next year. But offensively, they'll be like Alabama this year. I mean, they'll just outscore everybody. Next year.
No question
and one thing about it, Michael, who in the ACC can beat them?
No, I know. That's what I told Dad.
Nobody.
I mean, Florida
They've got no potential.
They're down.
They're going to be in the top 4. If they don't change this thing around, Clemson's going to be in the top 4 every year for the next probably 5 or 6 years. Wouldn't you think?
Oh, there's no doubt.
And then, of course, they won it.
I mean, the only team that gives them trouble is Syracuse.
Yeah, that's right. And,
Notre Dame fans had to be sitting back last night and say, "Man, maybe we weren't that bad."
Yeah, that's right. It makes the Notre Dame fans feel better, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, when they got beat 30-3.
Xavier McKinney led Alabama in tackles with Southern, and he plays in the secondary. I reckon that's the reason, because he had to make those tackles in the secondary. Followed by, McKinney had 7. Mac Wilson had 6 tackles.
All I got to say is, how bad would you feel if you and your wife and your kids flew to San Francisco, stayed there 3 nights, paid for the plane tickets there, paid for the plane tickets back, spent $10,000,
$15,000
to watch Alabama get their brains beat out.
I hate to say that, but I couldn't help but think about Jim Jackson, who's on this show a lot. Of course, Bill Jackson Chevrolet, right here in Troy. Of course, Jim's a dear friend of mine. I was with a bunch of his buddies last night, and but he'll come back and just have that strong feeling about Alabama. Just like all these other guys will. But again, no points were scored in the fourth quarter. Did y'all know that? Did that come out to you?
Yeah, they laid down on it in the fourth quarter.
In fact, they scored the last 30 points. Clemson did. Alabama led last at 16-14. But do you remember when Alabama went for it instead of kicking the field goal? I thought that was a bad move by Alabama. You remember that? When it had
you're talking about when he had the horrible fake field goal?
No, it wasn't. Yeah. Well, that was one call that was a terrible call, but it was one earlier where he should have gone for the field goal and didn't do it. Do you remember that? And they stopped him.
They had one of the worst field goal kickers in the country. Why would you?
I know it. Well, Well, inside the 20-yard line, anybody ought to be able to make it, shouldn't he?
Yeah, but that guy wasn't going to make it. Just gone ahead and gone for the first down.
Yeah.
Passing.
Well, again, the key was to it all, ladies and gentlemen. Alabama was stopped 5 times inside the 20-yard line. Is that right?
I think it's at least 4. I don't know if it was 5. It was a lot.
I want to say it was 5 times, and of course they
were at the one twice and didn't score.
Yeah, that's right. And
but then again, that's why you put Jacobs in there.
Yeah.
The guy cannot be tackled. I mean, Najee Harris couldn't be tackled.
Yeah, Najee Harris looked good, but
they had the wrong running back in the game.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if they think Damian Harris is better than Josh Jacobs, they're out of their mind.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now all of them are gone, aren't they? Who comes back?
Najee Harris is just a sophomore.
All right. Now he's the big back. Now he weighs about 230, doesn't he? 235. He could be. Do you compare Najee Harris with some of the other big backs Alabama's had?
I can't compare him more to Derrick Henry.
All right. You do compare him with Derrick Henry. Did Derrick Henry have a good year this year, Mike?
Yeah, he rushed for over 1,000 yards with the Titans.
Well, that's good.
Michael, how many yards did that running back for Clemson have?
Well, he broke a long run late for 40 yards, so he was only at
86.
Like 7 yards, and then he ended up getting around 85.
Yeah, 85 yards. Alabama's Najee Harris rushed 9 times for 60 yards. Jacobs ran 11 times for 57, and Harris ran 11 times for. Jacobs ran 11 times for 47 yards. Harris for 57 yards. Alabama rushed the ball for over 150 yards, but it.
They had that early in the third quarter.
Yeah.
It's just they were forced to throw the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was a tough break.
Aren't y'all shocked by the score? I can't believe they got beat that bad.
Yeah.
That has to be the worst beating Saban's ever taken.
Yeah.
The worst he'd ever had was 14 points. 14 points to South Carolina, Stephen Garcia.
Exactly. Mike, exactly right. The kid from Opelika, threw for 300 yards against them, didn't he?
That's Stephen Garcia years ago.
I know it, but South Carolina moved the ball well on Clemson this year, and the quarterback from Clemson.
Bentley scored 39 points against South Carolina.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
60 yards.
Exactly right. And we couldn't do it. Of course, Alabama loses. Do they lose McKinney? Is he gone?
No, everybody's back in the secretary except Deontay Thompson.
Well, they need to do something, though. Mac Wilson's back, isn't he?
Yeah, he'll be back, but he was awful this year. He might end up getting beat out.
How about Buggs? He's back, isn't he?
No, he's a senior.
All right, he goes. Dylan Moses, is he back?
Sophomore, he'll be back.
Fernie Jennings, is he back?
Jennings is back.
Quentin Williams is gone.
Quentin Williams is gone. Rakeem Davis, number 99, who was phenomenal last year, didn't really have a great year this year. He's a junior. He'll go.
2 tackles.
Drive.
Mosley, is he back?
Yeah, no, he was a senior. He's gone.
All right, so they lose a lot of their defensive players, don't they?
Yeah.
All right, now who didn't play that?
Christian Miller didn't play. That really hurt a lot at defensive end. He's a senior. He's gone. But then they'll bring Terrell Lewis back off his knee injury. If he could stay healthy, everybody thinks he's a first-round pick.
Is he back?
Yeah, he'll be back coming off the ACL. He didn't play all year.
Y'all remember I predicted this. I predict Alabama will lose at least 2 conference games next year.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, Auburn's licking their chops because Alabama.
Where do you think they'll lose?
Alabama didn't play well at Auburn. I know that.
A&M and Auburn.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's all about who Auburn gets as a quarterback, though. I think Malzahn could be out if you can't find the right quarterback.
Yeah.
I heard that there's a $100,000 signing bonus if Jalen will go over there.
But you know what?
I tell you what, if I was Jalen, I'd go one place and one place only. I'd go to Oklahoma, and I would run the offense with Lincoln Riley, and I'd put up huge numbers, and I'd get drafted maybe in the 3rd round in the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I'd go.
All right. Go to but you know what? He's still not a great passer. Don't you agree?
I tell you what, he's a lot better, though. I watched him in a lot of games.
He's gotten better.
He's improved a lot. He's improved. You didn't watch him against Georgia, and that was only one good leg.
And that was a terrible time to have to come into the game. I mean, he's down 44-16, and he comes to the game to play the last 11 minutes.
Yeah, I felt bad for him.
I know
they were just pinning their ears back and rushing the passer. And, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it didn't matter if Alabama scored in the red zone. Clemson was the better team.
Yeah, no question. No question about it.
I mean, you can talk about this forever, but, I mean, I will say that, I mean, it's shocking to me. I thought maybe Clemson would win the game. I thought it would be a really close game, but I never thought it would be a blowout either way.
Yeah. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with more of Today in L.A. And, of course, Alabama loses to Clemson 44-16.
When you are handed the key to a new Bill Jackson Chevrolet Buick or GMC, rev up your imagination. Think of all the places you can go in some of the most stylish, best quality cars available on the market today. Feel confident driving vehicles with superb dependability and safety ratings. And smile, you saved a ton of money because you bought at Bill Jackson. Let the only thing holding you back be the end of the road. A Bill Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC vehicle will not only change your life, it saves you money like nowhere else.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Tori Dunn from Dixie Trails. You get your truck washed here?
I sure do.
Billy Johnson. I know you're not bringing them cow trucks over here.
I do, and they're like me when I leave.
Loretta, what are you doing?
Getting my car detailed.
At Trojan Detail, we do it all.
Your quarterback, is he back?
Yeah,
Ladies and gentlemen, back to our show, and of course we're talking about Alabama and Clemson. Clemson wins 44-16. The national championship belongs to the Tigers. Former Alabama walk-on coach, walk-on football player, is now. He right now, I would say that. All right, who's this we hear right here? All this. Will, are you back? You back with us, Will?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
All right, and of course, right now, Jabbo Swinney is the toast of California and toast of college football. He is the man right now, Jabbo Swinney.
Well, I mean, he's won 2 national championships, and he's only in his late 40s. I mean, how many is he going to win?
Mike, I like to tell you this, Jabbo.
I mean, Urban Meyer's retired. He had 3 national championships. I mean, will it come down that Dabo Swinney will tie Bear Bryant's record one day with 6 national championships?
I tell you what, I bet you they'll be preseason number 1, wouldn't you think?
There's no doubt.
But
No doubt, yeah.
But their running backs are sort of no name. Everybody.
Yeah, their running back could rush for 1,600 yards.
No, had he?
Yeah, he was great. Yeah, he was a great player.
The name Antoine. What number was he?
They call him ATN.
ATN. Well, let's take a look at things here.
I mean, next year, preseason top 5, I'll say it'll be Clemson, Alabama, and then I think you'll probably have Ohio State somewhere in that top 5. You'll have Georgia, and then you might have possibly.
Whoever goes to Oklahoma they need
yeah, you'll have Oklahoma or Texas in the top 5.
Yeah, and Texas really looked good, and Auburn looked pretty good too. I'm gonna put them in top 10.
Auburn went 8-5.
Yeah. Well, let's put them in the top 10. You want to?
They'll be lucky to be in the top 20. They were in the top 10 this year pre-season.
Well, I tell you what, they looked pretty good in the bowl game, didn't they? And you thought.
Well, I need to mention this.
Mike, I hate to embarrass you in front of national TV, but you picked Purdue to beat Auburn.
Hey, I'll be honest with you. I thought Auburn's program was in disarray. I really did. I watched Purdue beat Ohio State, so that's why I did it.
You're exactly right. It is amazing how a team can look good against one team, and a lot of it is how you match up. And evidently, Clemson matched up very well with Alabama.
Hey, well, we might need to mention this since we're located in Troy, Alabama. If anybody doesn't know, Neil Brown's the new coach of West Virginia. We haven't mentioned that yet.
Exactly. And, of course, he is the new head football coach at West Virginia. You know what gets me?
What a class act. Neil Brown went before everybody. You know, I don't know, there might have been 1,000 people at Trojan Arena and, you know, got emotional and gave a farewell speech to the Troy fans and said the wall was the wall was rebuilt, and, you know, he choked up and thanked everybody and appreciated how good they were to him and his family, and just a class act. And then I saw him getting off the plane in Morgantown, and he got met by Don Nehlen, the former coach at
how old was Don
West
Nehlen?
Virginia. I didn't realize Don Nehlen had won 200 games at West Virginia.
How old is Don Nehlen? Gosh, you're right.
83.
And he walks out of the Trojan Arena with a contract, 6 years,
$3.1 million.
For $3.1 million a year. The young man is a millionaire, and he used Troy to get there. And people say they don't want Troy to be a stepping stone. Hey, if a guy wants to come in here and coach his butt off for 4 or 5 years and make Troy conference championships and build Troy's reputation, I'll take him every day of the year. I want a kid that comes in here that's hungry to win. If he's not hungry to win right away, if he don't think he can win right away, I don't want him. What do you think?
Well, that's what I want as well. I mean, I want a young.
I don't want a guy. I mean, I love Larry Blakeney. Don't get me wrong. He's one of my good friends, and I love him. For 25 years, I loved every year of it, and I think the world of him as a coach. But Troy will never have a coach that's going to coach 20 years, or 15 years, or 10 years.
Not if they're any good. Yeah, not if they're winning.
Exactly. And this
right now they're saying the number one candidates, or, you know, I mean, what you're hearing people talk about, they're saying Chip Lindsey possibly, you know, Chip Lindsey Auburn's offense.
The name I hear more than anybody is John Summerall.
Summerall's not going to get the job. The guy's never been a head coach.
He's one of those young guns that we want, Mike. He's one of these hungry guys.
He was awful at Ole Miss last year. I mean, Ole Miss had one of the worst defenses in the league, and he wasn't even a coordinator there.
But why do you call him? I'm sure he had a few pretty good linebackers.
You want Matt Moore or Vic Koenig before you want Summerall, in my opinion.
Well, I like both of those guys. You're exactly right, Moore. But
the name you're hearing, the dark horse name you're hearing, is Tuberville.
Tuberville is out there, no question.
Tuberville is living in Grayton Beach, Florida, and holding court at AJ's down there.
Yeah, and I ate at AJ's 2 days ago.
Yeah, I saw him down there not too long ago when I was down there.
Yeah, exactly. But he's not hungry, Mike. Tuberville's not hungry. We want somebody hungry. We want somebody that's got energy.
I mean, Chip Lindsey's 45 years old. And
Is he 45?
His coordinator.
I thought he was older than that.
Somebody told me he's making over $1 million as the offensive coordinator at Kansas.
Really? He got $1 million to go to Kansas?
I'm thinking he did, yeah. That's what I want to say.
Yeah.
And, of course, it'd be hard to – but at the same time, he would be one of those guys that I would put up there. I would put up Lindsey. I would put up Summerall. Summerall, Mike, is a sharp dude now. And what I like about him, he is a fiery dude, buddy. He gets in your lap, and that's the kind of football coach Jabbo Sweeney is. He's a get in your lap coach, and they're gonna grab you by your throat if he has to, but to get your attention. You know what I'm saying? To get your attention.
I don't think Troy needs a defensive coach to come in, though. I would rather have an offensive coach.
Well, he'll have to hire an offensive coordinator. He'll have to hire a good offensive coordinator. I tell you, young man, you're not gonna believe me when I say it.
I'll be honest with you. I would be happy with Josh Niblett to leave Hoover and come coach Troy.
Hey, Josh Niblett that would set the world on fire, wouldn't it? But I'll tell you somebody else.
He would be an unbelievable recruiter.
I'll tell you somebody else that would make a heck of a football coach, and nobody wants to look at him right now, but they will in the future, is Bryant Vincent, the offensive coordinator at UAB, who has all kinds of Troy ties. He coached here about 5 years under at Charles Henderson. And, then he went and was a successful head coach, and then he joined your buddy's staff at South Alabama. He was with Joey Jones at Alabama, and then now he's with UAB and has done a super job. Bryant Vincent. You remember that name?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's a great guy, and, we hung out with him not too long ago. He's a super, super guy, but, we need to find out who all Neil Brown's taking from the staff, who's all going, who's all trying to stay. None of that's come out yet. So.
And let me tell you this, people.
All I'll say is our athletic director and our president, Jack Hawkins, were out in California, so I'm sure they're doing a lot of interviews.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. But I will tell you another name that he is a bona fide football coach is Mike Turk, the former All-American who led Troy to 2 national championships. He's coached 15 years at Troy under Larry Blakeney. He's coached 10 years as a head coach at Huntington. He is a football coach, my friend. And they ought to at least interview him. They ought to interview Mike Turk.
There's no doubt about that. He's a great guy, and he's a guy that would rally a lot of them.
He would rally the troops. He would rally the troops more than anybody I know.
But let's just say this. Whoever the coach is next year, they're going to win 10 or 11 games. Troy's loaded.
Yeah.
Probably
They're loaded, yeah. Neil
best
Brown
team they've ever had coming
full.
back.
Yeah, that's right. The cupboard is full.
Troy's non-conference games next year are Akron, and then they got Southern Miss coming to Troy, and then they got to travel to Missouri. And other than that, I don't know who else can beat Troy in the league next year because, Troy's going to be loaded. They'll win at least 10 or 11 games.
Now, let me throw out another name to you. Tommy Robinson, the former Troy great from Phoenix City, Alabama, born and raised Phoenix City, Alabama, has coached in the pros at several different junctions.
He coached at USC, he coached at LSU, he's at LSU in Orgeron right now.
He is the running backs coach and an assistant head coach at LSU right now. Tommy Robinson is an African-American coach that is a good one.
Well, you got Gene.
And he wants the job,
You got Gene Chiswick as a dark horse candidate, too. Out of Tuberville or Chiswick, who would you want?
I'd take Chiswick. I'd rather have Chiswick because he'd be on fire.
He's younger, too.
Chiswick's great on television. I know that.
Yeah, I know it. I would take Chiswick over Tuberville, in my opinion. Even though Tuberville beat Alabama 6 straight times.
I think
he's a pretty good coach.
He's younger.
Who?
He's a good bit. He's younger than Tuberville.
Chiswick's around 55, Tuberville's 62.
And the people don't realize this. Chiswick is a big weightlifter. When he was at Central Florida as a young coach, he was considered the guru of them all as far as being looking like Tarzan.
Tuberville's got 160 wins, so maybe he wants to try to coach somewhere and get the 200 wins. I don't know.
Well, he's a good coach. Of course, he's a defensive-minded coach. He'd have to find him a good offensive coordinator. And, of course, there's some good ones out there. One of them, Bryant Vincent, is out there as an offensive coordinator for somebody.
Yeah, well, that's a lateral move.
But he's not leaving UAB, though. He's done a great job. Mike Vincent was one of the reasons UAB was as good as they were this year.
Yeah, because Bill Clark's the defensive coach.
Yeah, that's right. And then, of course, everybody knows Joy Jones. Bryant Vincent was Joy Jones as offensive coordinator for a while, too.
Troy was so close to keeping Neil Brown. I mean, they fought the coaching carousel at the end of it. And then all of a sudden, Dana Holgerson decides he wants to leave and go to Houston. Of course, he got paid $4 million for a 5-year contract for $4 million a year for $20 million. And then all of a sudden, that West Virginia job pops open, and it came down to Neil Brown and Luke Fickell.
And it looked like it was going to be Luke Fickell. But what do you think happened, Mike? Fickell was supposed to be real good friends.
I guess the athletic director won over the president. The president was at Ohio State when Fickell became interim coach when Jim Trussell got in trouble with all the probation tattoo type stuff, and Fickell became the coach, and Gordon G was the president there, and now he's at West Virginia, and that's why a lot of people thought that he would have Fickell as the coach before Neil Brown. But Shane Lyons, he was at Alabama as associate athletic director at West Virginia, and convinced him that Neil Brown was the guy.
And
and give him a 6-year, and to give him a 6-year deal, that is something.
Yeah, Gordon G was at Vanderbilt. He was the chancellor at Vanderbilt before he went to Ohio State.
Yeah, isn't that amazing that they gave him a 6-year deal?
Well, you know what that is? That's called Jimmy Sexton's your agent.
Yeah, Jimmy Sexton is your agent. You're right.
Well, Jimmy Sexton is not his agent.
Yeah, he is too.
No, he isn't. His agent's out of Birmingham.
Now, you think Russ Campbell is his agent?
No, we confirmed this the other day. He became his agent this year, Will.
Yeah.
Okay, well, good. Then
See, Russ Campbell was Larry Blakeney's agent.
Yeah.
And Russ Campbell's been a lot of people's agent. In fact, Russ Campbell is, you know what? Russ Campbell's Jabo's agent. And he's, of course, he's out of Birmingham.
Well, I don't know what they pay Jabo, but I bet he gets a raise.
No question about it. Jabo, and a good picture in today's Montgomery Advertiser of this young man.
Dabo makes $7.5 million.
$7.5 million. So they might make him the highest paid guy, but you know what? Saban's contract says that he'll always be the number one paid coach in America. Isn't that right?
What does Saban make?
He makes $11 million, doesn't he, Mike?
Saban makes 11. He made $11 million one year, but he makes 8.9.
8.9. Bless his heart.
Wow.
Whoa! Have you ever figured that per month, Will?
That's way above my pay grade.
That's mind-boggling, isn't it? Almost $1 million a month.
I wonder what Auburn's paying Gus Malzahn. That's what kills me.
They're paying him over $5 million, I think. I want to say, is that right, Mike?
Malzahn just signed for $7.049 million.
Oh, okay, that's right. Okay. Malzahn. Hey, you can talk.
That's why they couldn't buy him out, because he had a $32 million buyout.
Oh yeah, that is unreal. That was
They
unreal.
had Malzahn on the game last night.
Yeah, he was getting non-stop coverage. Him and
exactly.
And a bunch of other coaches.
Now let me stun you. Neil Brown's buyout was $300,000.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
I thought it was $3 million.
No, $300,000.
But that got confirmed by somebody real reliable, the president.
Yeah, that's right. It was real reliable, I believe.
That's all we got was $300,000.
That's right. That's all that Troy had to pay. But let me tell you what else though was in the contract.
West Virginia had to pay. Now they are supposed to give you a home and home. But
that's right. A home and home is supposed to be in the deal. So we'll be playing Neil Brown before too long at home at Troy.
That'd be wonderful.
Sure will. That's a good thing to put in your contract, isn't it?
Well, I mean, usually Troy gets paid $1 million to play those games.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah.
I want to mention my good friend Garnet Rigsby at Jim Skinner Honda in Dothan. Do you know Garnet Rigsby, Will?
No, I don't.
Oh, you need to know him. He's a great guy. He's at Jim Skinner Honda in Dothan, and he's been a good friend of mine a long time. I want to mention Max Federal Credit Union, located on the bypass right here in Troy. and also our good friends at First National Bank of Troy Brundage, the Ramages. Mike, of course, John Ramage, the president and CEO, and of course, chairman of the board is his dad, who has been in the banking business a long time, Jimmy Ramage.
How many people nationally last night were probably jumping up and down, so excited and seeing Alabama get blown out?
Oh, let me tell you this.
It's hated nationally. I'm sure that made a lot of people's nights.
All right, it made all the Auburn folks happy, including your mama. All the Auburn fans are happy. I would think everybody in college football, other than Alabama, was rooting for Clemson. When you think maybe the SEC people might have rooted for Alabama, but I don't think so.
It's just like in the NFL, everybody roots against the Patriots.
Yeah.
They don't
Exactly,
root
yeah.
the Patriots.
Well, all right. Let's take a look at it. Georgia will have their quarterback back, but Buddy, he looked like a regular old fella in the bowl game. And now the backup quarterback, who is very similar to the Oklahoma quarterback that is leaving, is going to Ohio State. So what do you think there?
I mean, Justin Fields wants to play, so, I mean, you understand it. I mean, Jake Fromm looked great against Alabama. Of course, he originally committed to Alabama when Kirby Smart was there. I don't know. I mean, Georgia's losing a lot of talented guys.
You mean Fields was going to Alabama?
No, Fromm.
Oh, Fromm was,
Alabama.
Yeah.
I think what you got to worry about with Georgia is Florida's really coming with Mullen.
No question.
So I wouldn't be shocked if Alabama played Florida next year. But, I mean, Will has Alabama losing 2 games next year, so who do you have representing out of the West next year, Will?
I tell you who I sort of like is LSU. This guy, he's going to build LSU's program, I think.
Well, I
know.
think he's going to be the up-and-coming team.
Right now, the only
Alabama
team
will play in College Station.
Right now, the only team that can stand up to Clemson physically right now is LSU. LSU would play Clemson all over the field.
No,
Texas A&M.
LSU got a mean operator, Mike. That guy is mean.
LSU had
You need to press that guy. What?
They had 8 guys that didn't even play in the bowl game on defense.
Who did?
LSU.
And that's what I'm saying. LSU is loaded.
I mean, LSU, though, I mean, he would have thrown for 600 yards against LSU.
Yeah. Well,
They were playing backup wide receivers at quarterback.
I think LSU has finally found a quarterback that can make some things happen.
Yeah, but he's not going to beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa.
Well, I don't know. Hey, listen, the Alabama team I saw wasn't real mean, I didn't think.
I think Texas A&M is the up-and-coming team, and Jimbo will recruit Texas, and he will get the lion's share of the Texas 5-stars, and he'll be tough from now on.
Well, I think Texas program is coming back around, just like A&M. I think you can look for Texas to be a top 5 team before long, don't you think?
Yeah, that Texas coach is a good coach.
Then you got A&M, then you got Alabama, you got Clemson, and who's the other team, the top 5 teams out there?
Georgia.
Well,
Georgia.
Ohio State's going to be good.
Georgia and Ohio State. And you ought to throw in Oklahoma. Oklahoma, Mike thinks, ladies and gentlemen, that Oklahoma's going to get hurt. What do you think, Mike? I bet Hurt's feelings is hurt. I would think right now Hurt's feelings would be hurt.
I think that would be a good fit, considering Hurts is from Houston, Texas, and would probably like to try to get back closer to home to play.
I'm gonna make a prediction. You'll hear something from Hurt this week.
He's already graduated from college. He can go anywhere.
I know, that's what I'm saying. You'll hear from where he's going somewhere this week. I guarantee you. He's got on his mind where he's going.
I think he's going to go on a tour and look around a little bit.
Yeah, he probably will.
And he might go to Auburn now. Auburn's got to have a quarterback.
He's not going to go to Auburn.
Auburn's got to have a quarterback, Mike. Who's it going to be?
It's going to be either Malik Willis or Joey Gatewood or that Sandberg guy, yeah.
Those guys are not ready to be the quarterback at Auburn.
Well, I mean, they always say Malzahn can't develop his own quarterbacks. I guess we're going to have to figure out that.
What do you think, Will? Don't you think Auburn needs a quarterback?
It probably costs about $100,000 signing bonus. They give Jalen, he's graduated. They give him a job teaching in the university, make him a professor.
Yeah.
And then he play football too.
Well, Hurt is going to go somewhere. Mike says to Oklahoma.
Why doesn't Jalen Hurts go to West Virginia and play for Neil Brown?
Yeah, and I'll tell you right now.
That might be a good move because they're losing their quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this right now. Oklahoma's got to have a quarterback. West Virginia's got to have a quarterback. Georgia's got one. Ohio State's getting one. And they're moving quick. Look for Ohio State to be a top 5, top 4 guy next year.
Well, they're not going to have that quarterback next year.
No, he's got to see it.
Out of year. I mean, Michigan has got Shea Patterson coming back, but Michigan, they look awful to me. I mean, Harbaugh's a guy that's getting paid way too much money to, he's never even come close to winning the Big Ten.
Now, one team y'all have not mentioned that I think is coming on, and you're going to laugh, but it's the University of Kentucky.
Well, they're losing Snell, and they're losing a bunch of really good defensive players. I think they're going to take a step back, Will.
Yeah. Well,
but I just really like the way they're going now.
And I think Georgia's stock.
Neil Brown was offensive coordinator there before he took the Troy job.
Georgia's stock was is not as good as it was. I don't think. Do you think that Georgia will have a big year next year?
They had a great recruiting year.
They lost Ridley. They lost Holyfield at running back. They lost 3 or 4 defensive guys that gone early to the draft. They've lost 6 guys early to the NFL draft. Of course, he's recruiting wonderful there. I mean, I tell you, he looked horrible there with Swift and against Texas. Swift, I thought, was one of the best running backs in the country, but I mean, he was fumbling left and right against Texas.
LSU's program is really better now. LSU's a top 10 program right now, I would think. A&M, Texas, Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, Ohio State, Oklahoma, all those programs are going to be a top 10 at least, wouldn't you think?
I tell you, who stinks is the Pac-12 or whatever it is.
Their whole conference.
Southern Cal and that bunch, is that who you're talking about?
I mean, look, Southern Cal's down, UCLA's down, Arizona's down.
That's right.
Washington and Washington State are probably the 2 best teams. Stanford's down.
Yeah, that's right.
They just had a brutal year.
They really did. You're exactly right.
And then Washington State loses their quarterback. He's gone. And then Washington lost their quarterback. He's gone. Browning, who's been there for 5 or 6 years, it seems like.
You're exactly right. No question about it. Of course, this show is brought to you by our good friends at Dixieland Dental, located 9 miles north of Dothan on Highway 231. Dr. Michael Precise, Dr. John Strength, Dr. Damon Strength, and Dr. Robert Precise make up one of the largest dental clinics in Alabama. Also want to mention our good friends at Pike County Ford on the bypass in Troy. Remember, we're dealing at Pike County Ford on the bypass right here in Troy. Will Matthews is our guest, along with Mike Amos from Birmingham. Will,
as a new Troy coach, Neil Brown made $810,000. What do you think Troy maxed out could spend on a coach? You think they could get to $1 million a year at Troy?
They might have to, but you know what? You take this young these young gurus, you can get by with maybe $600,000 to $800,000 for one of those guys. Let me just say this.
I mean, I don't see Tuberville or Chiswick taking the job if it's not $1 million.
We don't necessarily need to go after somebody that's pretty. People hear me say pretty. Well, I'll tell you something about John Summerall. He is pretty. He is sharp as a tack.
I just don't understand where this is coming from. He's never been a head coach. Why would you not support Matt Moore?
Well, don't get me wrong. I do support Matt Moore, and I do support Vic Koenig. I like both of them. But I'm thinking that they're going to get $500,000 jobs. Excuse my language now. That they're going to get $500,000 jobs at West Virginia. Don't you think?
Summerall was not even a coordinator at Troy.
I know. He's young. Well, that's where it all comes from. He's a young coach that a lot of people think got a future.
The defense coordinator at West Virginia made $750,000, so that means if Vic Koenig went, he'd make at least $750,000.
Exactly. And then, of course, Moore is an excellent
That's where
coach.
he's going.
Yeah.
How did you think
I would think he would be making a mistake if he doesn't take Vic Koenig and Moore with him. I think he'll be making a big mistake if he doesn't do that.
Well, you got to think if they want to try to get a head job, they want to stay at Troy. You can't blame them for that. But Todd Saploy Alabama's defense coordinator this year. Of course, he's a young guy. And of course, Saban still helps out greatly with the defense. How did you think he did overall this season?
I think Alabama's defense was pitiful this year.
I didn't think they were as good as they've been being, no question.
I mean, so they took a huge.
They gave up a lot of. You're talking about Missouri, shoot them up pretty good.
Arkansas
got a lot.
Shoot them up for 30.
Yeah.
Auburn shoot them for a half.
Alabama definitely missed Jeremy Pruitt this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No question about it. And again, everything remains to be seen, but there are a lot of good football programs out there. I would think next year will be as good a football team. Let's just say there are 4 or 5 good ones, and LSU and Alabama and Clemson were definitely, we would think, the best 2 teams out there. But next year, like you said, you got A&M coming hard, Texas, Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, Ohio State, Oklahoma, LSU. Those are all good football teams, Mike, that are coming hard.
I really thought Alabama had turned the corner on defense. They shut out LSU. They
Shut out
Mississippi State. Yeah, so I thought they were really about to turn around on defense. But then after that, you even saw it in the Citadel game a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just amazing how poor the defense played down the stretch.
Yeah. And then let me tell you this. One thing, think about this. Oklahoma did a lot of things out of the pocket with their quarterback and all that. This was just basic drop back passing and running. They didn't do anything fancy. They didn't run the option. They didn't do anything fancy at all. They just ran it right at them.
And the receivers just, threw it up to those receivers, and they made great catches.
That's right. No question about it. And number 5 and number 9.
I don't even know if I even saw Clemson even drop a pass last night.
Yeah. Boy, I tell you what, early.
3 or 4.
Yeah, exactly. And Alabama actually didn't drop many passes that were thrown to them.
Yeah. They did, too. They dropped several last night.
Yeah, they did. Now, Smith had one right in his hands. Damian Harris dropped one right in his hands. They definitely had some drops.
Well, I didn't think of anybody wide open for a touchdown. I didn't see any of that.
This is the biggest blow to Alabama fans so far as being blown out since I can't even remember. Saban's worst loss, like we said, is by 14 points to South Carolina. This is just uncharted territory for an Alabama fan this morning waking up.
So the king of the roost, ladies and gentlemen, is Clemson. The Clemson Tigers reign over all the football world as the number 1 football team in America, and they'll be preseason number 1 next year, don't you think?
No doubt.
They probably get every vote, don't you think? When does Troy play Clemson again?
I think after what they did last night.
Yeah, this.
When you sit back and you realize that quarterback's going to be there for 2 more years, all those wide receivers are going to be back. You're going to have to find a defensive front, new linebackers. That's going to be difficult.
Is the running back? Is he back?
Yeah, he's just a sophomore.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Look out for the Clemson Tigers.
Dabo Swinney is one of the top recruiters in the country. Listen to the guy. Anybody would want to go play for him.
I know it. You're right, no question about it. He is a much more. We were talking last night. He's
a rah-rah guy.
I was around a bunch of people last night in front of the widest screen TV you could find, the whole wall. It took up the whole wall, and we were eating a steak and having a good time. And I said, "Who would you rather be sitting down with enjoying a steak, Dabo Swinney or Nick Saban? Who would be the most congenial guy out there?" There's no question it'd be Dabo Swinney. We're talking about a guy that's what do I call him? A prima donna. Boy, that's exactly what Saban is, and Dabo's just a regular old guy. Do you know who one of Jabo's best friends is? Do you know who one of Jabo's best friends is, Mike?
Dabo's best friends?
Yeah.
Who?
He's our probate judge. Well, no, he's our new legislator.
Wes Allen?
Wes Allen and Dabo Swinney are best of friends. In fact, Wes Allen was a walk-on receiver under Dabo Swinney at Alabama.
Well, you know, my wife's first cousin, Sam Collins.
That's right.
Sam Collins coached, was wide receiver, starting wide receiver at Alabama, and Dabo coached him as well. So he thinks the world of Dabo. Everybody thinks the world of Dabo.
Yeah, that's right. And a lot of people would say Dabo is would be the heir apparent to Saban, but
He'll never come to Alabama.
No way will he ever leave.
He hungs the moon in Clemson, South
in
Carolina.
fact, give him a good ring so you can kiss that ring, because he is the guru of them all.
Why would you want to come to Tuscaloosa but be around all that pressure and all this crazy
That's
fan
right.
base?
And then he can get on his boat outside his house and go across the lake and have a good time, can't he?
Yeah, and he's got Fad Turnip Seed that played at Alabama. He's up there. You got Lemansky Hall, that was a great player on the '92 national championship team.
Lemansky Hall, yeah.
Paul Hogan, the starting center at Alabama, coaches for him. You got Woody McCorby, who was at Alabama.
Oh, Woody, now you're right. Now everybody loved Woody McCorby, especially Wayne Bolt.
Yeah, so he's got a lot of Alabama guys on that stuff.
And then there's a guy sitting there, old rancher, lives right down the road from him, won a national championship at Clemson. Do you know who that is?
Danny Ford.
Danny Ford. And that was the Ohio State, where Woody Hayes slugged the Clemson player. Do you remember that?
I do.
You remember that, don't you, Will? And of course, Danny Ford was the guru, and that everybody thought that one day would be the head coach at Alabama. It didn't work there, but Danny Ford.
He ended up having a pretty good team at Arkansas when he went there.
Oh, yeah, he's a good football coach, no question about it. Danny Ford out of Gadsden, Alabama. But he still lives there in Clemson.
How old is Danny Ford?
He's about my age, probably 70, I would think. I could be wrong, though.
Right now, between you and Will, who do you think will take over for Saban one day?
Oh, boy. They're not out there like they used to be. You know what? That is a hard one to answer right there.
Well, you know what Wimp Sanderson and other people say on the radio, they say if he has any kind of success at Tennessee, they think Pruitt will be the head coach one day at Alabama.
Are you serious? You mean from out here, Banks, Alabama?
Well, that's where his wife's from.
I know it. That's where he's from. His wife's from Banks, Alabama. Hey, do you think he's going to be that good a coach?
That's what I'm saying. If he has any kind of success, is what I'm saying.
You know who I was fixing to say our guy at Georgia might, but he's not going to leave Georgia. He's a Georgia guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a Georgia guy.
Yeah.
Who's somebody out there, Will, that you think could handle the Alabama job?
Oh, boy. That is a tough question right there.
You would laugh if I told you.
Well, let's laugh.
Lane Kiffin.
Oh, no.
But I tell you what, he would have the ego. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, you're right. You want a guy with ego, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. You're exactly right.
Well, man, Florida Atlantic just fell on their face this year. Didn't make a bowl game.
I know it.
They lost all their players from the year before.
Boy, you know that. Let me tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, that might be the best question we have had today or had in a month. Who would be the next head coach at Alabama? You're exactly right, Mike.
Or who do you think can handle the job more than anything? Dabo is who everybody would want, but he won't take it, I don't think.
Yeah.
No, Dabo, you might. It'd be funny if Urban Meyer came out of retirement and went to Alabama.
Oh, gosh. You know what?
But we're saying this prematurely. Saban's contract runs through 2023.
Yeah, but you know something, though? Money talks. Money talks.
I used to be a huge fan of John Gruden until this season. But man, he's not.
He is terrible. He's been terrible. You're right. And
let me tell you something, y'all.
I always wanted to see him. I always wanted to see him in college.
All right, what is it, Will?
John Gruden is turning that thing around. I'm telling you. And everybody says, well, he got rid of his best two players. But guess what? He's going to have 5 first-round draft picks.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, that is something, no question.
He's loading it up.
Yeah.
When they go to Las Vegas, they're going to dump another year. And then when the team goes to Las Vegas, they're going to be a contender.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I saw the ground where they're going to put that stadium, and it's really close to all the casinos.
Hey, Mike, how about the ex-quarterback from out here, Gadsden?
I'm out here at Gaston.
Yeah, how about the ex-quarterback from out here, Gadsden?
He's coaching?
Yeah, he's coaching in the pros right now.
Oh, Freddie Kitchens?
Freddie Kitchens, the next head football coach at Alabama.
Freddie Kitchens might be the next head coach of the Cleveland Browns.
I know it. I'm telling you now, he's a good football coach, they say. Oh, gosh. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed our show today. And, of course, it is a lot to talk about. Of course, we're excited about.
Well, we got a lot to talk about in the next few days about the coaching search.
Yeah, and the coaching search at Troy. And, again, you got to. The question is this. If you want to get an old, reliable, old, stable coach, you would look at somebody like
Tuberville,
or Tuberville and the former Auburn. Well, both of them former Auburn coach. Chiswick. So Tuberville and Chiswick would be the old solid coaching type guy, or you take a guy like a John Summerall or Tommy. But now Tommy Robinson's
55 years old.
Yeah, and is a good football coach, real good football coach.
They need to get somebody under 35 years old.
He's got Chan Gailey, played under Chan Gailey, coached under Chan Gailey. But now the key is not necessarily who's the best coach, but who's the best recruiter and who can hire the best staff. I think that's what you got to look at.
I like Chip Lindsey because he's been at Southern Miss, he's been at Arizona State, he's been at Auburn, he's been at Kansas. He runs the exact same offense as Neil Brown.
Exactly.
And he coached in Alabama high school ranks. He coached at Spain Park up here in Birmingham. He's been in a lot of different places.
Yeah.
And he coached at Troy under Larry Blakeney.
That's right.
Didn't he just sign a contract with Kansas?
Yeah, I think. I don't know. I think he did. You're right.
Yeah, but to take a head coaching job, I mean, I think he would leave Kansas in a heartbeat.
Well, you would think so, and he was one of my first people I thought about when this happened. You know, that he would be a good one.
I want an offensive guy. I don't want a defensive guy.
Yeah. And of course, everything remains to be seen.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'd have been happy with Hugh Freeze before he took the Liberty job.
Now, you know what? He was looking at Troy too, Mike. He was looking at Troy, Hugh Freeze. But again, now Max Howell's going to be on our show tomorrow, and I'm sure he is not a Hugh Freeze guy, you know.
Yeah. Hugh Freeze.
But you know, now one thing about this young man, Summerall, he's sharp, Mike. He's real sharp. He's one of those. He's a Jabbo Sweeney type coach. He'll get you fired up. He'll get in your lap, and I want that kind of guy. I want that kind of guy that's going to fight you and scratch you and claw you.
I mean, the guy that's never been a coordinator in Division I football. I mean, I got to have a guy that's a position coach.
All right, and people last night laughed at me about Mike Turk. Let me tell you this: Mike Turk's the most experienced guy out there, right there. I guarantee you, he's been everywhere.
Yeah, I mean,
what I'm saying he's been to Troy under Blakeney. He learned a lot of football. He played for Chan Gailey and Rick Rhodes, two outstanding coaches. And he's been a very successful coach at Huntington.
Yeah. Mike, I know somebody they could get, and he wouldn't cost but $300,000 for the next 2 years.
Who would that be?
Charles Kelly at Tennessee.
That's what I thought you were going to say, and I've heard that name mentioned, Charles Kelly, who's the offensive coordinator at where?
Yeah, Florida State's got to pay him $1 million next year and the next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a defense coordinator, Dad.
So he's looking for a job?
No,
he's with Pruitt.
He's with Pruitt at Tennessee.
Okay, I got you.
But hey, he'd come back. Hell, his family's from Ozark.
Oh yeah, well you know what? That's not a bad thought there because he is a good football coach, no question about it. Of course,
he was defensive coordinator at Florida State for Jimbo.
Yeah.
All I know is I'm I'm going to just watch cartoons with my 2-year-old and 1-year-old.
And it's over. Clemson reigns over college football, and very deserving so. And I hope you've enjoyed our show today. Will Matthews from Dothan, Ozark this morning. Good morning to you, and appreciate you calling in, Mike, calling in from Birmingham this morning. We hope tomorrow to have more information about who's going to be the next head football coach at Troy University. That's what's important, Troy University. And we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.